Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so today we're going to finish off the Toyota Supra GR. We just have a few things to do. We got some windows to paint, bunch of body components to glue on. Then we have to marry the body to the chassis and interior, which shouldn't be much. I mean, it's a Tamiya kit. I'll be honest, they pretty much fall together. So let's get down to the bench and get started. So first off, we started with putting the skirts on. A little bit of a struggle here. I did a lot of test fitting because the clear coat was a little thick, so it kind of interfered with parts going on. I got around it though. It wasn't that big of a deal. Here I am applying glue. Here we are, just applying glue for the driver's side. I used Bob Smith Industries medium thickness for this. I found it was just more versatile for the job. Now we're just doing the decaling for the Toyota logos that go on the front and back of the car. They have their own little plates that they go onto. I found this to be pretty easy way of doing this. A lot of other companies mold it onto the body and make it hard to chrome out the logo, but Tamiya made a really good way of doing it. Here I'm just putting the decal down on the second plate for either the front or the back. They're both interchangeable by the looks of things, so you could put them either or, although it's specified in the directions on where they go. Just like any other decal here, folks. Same rules apply. Just putting my setter down and then leaving it for 24 hours. Here we are just cutting out the decals for the housing of the headlight. This was probably the hardest operation out of the whole model, I found. Everything else kind of fell into place, but this was a little difficult because of the size of the decals. They're very small. But I managed to get them all on, and I think they look pretty good, all in all. This particular decal for me is one of the easier ones to install in the headlights just because it's bigger and easier to maneuver. I found the smaller ones are kind of hard. You lose track of them. They can fall off. You know, all kinds of different stuff can happen. But yeah, all in all, the decals went great. Now it's time to put the logos onto the front and back of the car. This is why I kept the trunk lid separate, because I test fitted everything before I started and it wouldn't have fit otherwise. Now it's important to remember here, just a little bit of glue. You just need to touch the glue to the part and let capillary action take care of the rest. Now you can place the emblem into the back deck lid. Took a little bit of fiddling, but I eventually got it. Here I'm gluing the clear part that goes in the rear bumper. Went in, no problems. Here I'm placing the rear grills that go in the back of the car underneath the headlights, or the rear tail lights, I should say. Yeah, a little bit of fiddling. They were small parts and I'm big and clumsy, so it didn't really work in my favor, but eventually I got them. Like I said before, just a little bit of glue. You don't need a lot. And here's the passenger side getting glued in. Here I am installing the clear headlight lenses. They went in really easy. I mean, again, Tamiya quality. You know, a little bit of glue and you're golden. They give you a nice big tab so you don't mess anything up. Like, what a great model. And here we'll put the lens in on the other side. A little bit of fiddling, but overall, you know, really easy. Just a touch of glue. You don't need much. Now it's time to put in the clear pieces that I painted clear right off camera. They go there. I believe they're the brake lights that go in the back of the bumper. Yeah, again, what do you really expect? It's Tamiya, right? Nothing but perfection. Right now we have the Bob Smith Industries medium thickness back out. This is for the rear bumper. I'm just putting glue in spots where if it leaks out, it's not going to get everywhere. Here I accidentally pulled the bumper out of frame to get it on. My apologies. I try to keep everything in shot as best I can, but it doesn't always happen. Now that the rear deck lid is ready, I'll put some Bob Smith Industries medium thickness down. And I'll place the deck lid where it's supposed to go. It went in really easily. Yeah, as you can see, like right into place, no problems. Another shot that's a little bit out of frame. I'm putting the tail light lenses in here. I had to paint them clear red. I also did that off camera. I figured I'd spare you guys the brush painting. I mean, everybody knows how to put the hairy stick to the part, right? Now, this was the hardest part of the whole build for me. The tail lights had some very small decals that went on the housing, and yeah, it went well. I didn't really have too many problems, but yeah, as you can see, I had to use a toothpick to kind of get it off the backing paper, and really had to be careful that I didn't mess up the decals. Because of the size of the decals, as you can see, I'm wearing my magnifier. Yeah, they were really small, and it was just easier for me to magnify everything to see what I was doing. And what a handy tool to have. This one has a headlight on it, which I find to be extremely handy. I think I picked it up off of Facebook. Here I'm installing a completed headlight. And there's the pieces of what they look like before they're assembled. So now we're starting the second headlight. I'll play a little bit of music from here on out so you guys can kind of watch instead of listening to me waffle on. Now that we have our headlights in place, we can start putting the tiny little grills that go in underneath the headlights. They went in really well. It took a little bit of fiddling to find which way they were oriented inside the spot, but it worked out well. Here I'm gluing the tail light housings in. They went in really easy. Again, what to expect from Tamiya, right? Painting the windows. This is always a challenge for me because I find getting the window masks down without any air bubbles or gaps where paint can leak in is tough for me. I mean, every time I do this, a little bit of paint gets through that mask. It's terribly annoying for me. If anybody's got any tips, please leave them in the comments. Yeah, I try to do my best. I burnish it down. I try everything. Anyway, a little bit of Mr. Hobby leveling thinner always fixes that on a Q-tip. However, I did find using Tamiya LP5 semi-gloss black, um, I found spraying the clear parts was actually a lot easier with this paint because it dries quicker. So I missed it on the first couple of coats, and then I gradually got a little bit wetter as I got more confident with it. Now we're back at the bench, just putting the windshield wipers in place. Yeah, the only thing really to note with the windshield wipers is which one goes on which side and where they sit on the windshield. Here I'm just gluing the rear view mirror in place. I assembled this, I believe, in the last video, the rear view mirror with the metal transfer. But yeah, and it's a metal transfer, I mean, press and stick kind of thing. And here I'm just gluing the rear windshield in place. Again, they left nice fat tabs on the windshield that you could glue on and you wouldn't have to worry about fogging the plastic, so I really like that. And now I'm just doing the front windshield. Again, they give you a nice big tab. I like these models are great. Now this is a decal that goes on the front windshield. It sits where the mirror would go. So yeah, this went on really well. I didn't have to play around with it too much. It was just kind of put it in place and roll the Q-tip over it and get all the bubbles out. I didn't use any decal softener or anything because I was worried about leaving a stain on the windshield. I didn't want to do that, so I decided not to. I will do the decal for the rear brake light. It's got a nice little plastic piece that goes inside the interior and shines out through the rear windshield, so make sure you paint this piece entirely semi-gloss black. Here we are, just gluing the front mirror in place. Now for our rear brake light housing, I guess you'd call it. That went in really good. I mean, the way Tamiya engineers their models, I mean, it's hard to mess them up, I got to admit. Now I'm gluing the side windows. Again, they left me a nice big fat plastic tab. No problems. That's all I can say. Here I'm cutting out the decal for the rear bumper. The clear piece gets a decal added onto it. I did this after the fact just because I didn't want to mess around with any clear coats on the decal and mess up the part, the way the finish looked. So that's why I did what I did here. And now my favorite part of the build, marrying the chassis to the body. Again, really easy to do. No glue needed at all. So I moved quickly onto the license plates. So here is the front license plate. As you can tell, I've put it on upside down. I removed it off the model after the fact because I tried to flip it around, but I just ended up cracking the decal and ripping it. So I removed it with a piece of masking tape, repainted it, and left the one on the back, and that's the way the model's going to sit. Just applying some decal setter here. And now for the back license plate. Again, really easy. They tell you to paint it white on the front, but I find when I do that, I mess up the edges, and I don't get that semi-gloss finish on the edge. So, again, a little bit of setter. Here I'm applying the Supra metal transfer. I used the American USDM one. Took me a bit of fiddling to get it centered, but after some, careful operation, I got it. So it turned out really good. I used a toothpick to kind of burnish it down around the shape of the metal transfer, and then I peeled the plastic away, as you can see. There was also a decal that was applied over top of the Supra metal transfer. I felt this really set off the look of the Supra and made it look super realistic. Like, this car came out great. Okay, thanks for tuning in. We got the Toyota Supra all wrapped up. I think it came out pretty well considering, a couple mistakes. Putting a decal on upside down with the license plate kind of hurt a bit. Tried to turn it around, couldn't. But that's the way it goes sometimes. We'll get better on the next kit. I'm thinking about building a bike for my next one. Not 100% sure yet. I think I'll do a bench update later on next week to let everybody know what I'm doing next. And we'll get cracking on it. Alright, thanks for tuning in. See you later.